There's a psalm where David says, "Why, God? Why have you forsaken me?" And there's a beautiful song connected to that moment, where David is just singing to God, and he's just. I think what's surprising about that moment for so many people is, wow, can you be that honest with God? Can you just say, "Why, God?" And I hope as people watch that moment, why it's one of my favorite moments, because it just shows you, like Jesus said, unless you become like little children, you need to become like little children to come to me. And David was just so childlike. If he was in pain, he just called out to God. And I love that moment because it's just so real, so raw, and so human. He's just saying, "Why, God?" And I hope as people watch that, they're like, "Oh, wow, I can speak to God. Tell him how I'm really feeling. I don't have to dress it up. I can just come to him as I am and just be honest."
Christian music lovers, to all my movie lovers, we have an exciting new episode today on the Christian Music Bro podcast. We're going to talk about an upcoming brand new movie, David. I'm here with Phil Cunningham, who's the producer/director of David. So we're going to let Phil introduce himself, and we're going to dive in and talk about the new movie, David. Phil, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Brendan. It's such a privilege and a pleasure to be with you on this podcast.
And remember, if you like what you're watching or you're listening to, like, follow, and subscribe to the channel, and also check out the movie David. We'll talk more about it so you guys can check it out when it comes to theater. Phil, can you tell us a little bit how this movie got started? We were just talking for a quick couple minutes beforehand. You said this movie's been in the making for 30 years. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What made it started?
Yeah, Brendan, it's a crazy story because it is 30 years in the making since it was first envisioned. It started for me. I was canoeing down a beautiful river in Africa called the Zambezi River. You could canoe for 4 days, 5 nights. You wouldn't see a human being. Just beautiful thunderstorms, lion, buffalo, elephants. And there I fell in love with God. I was like, wow, he's such an awesome character, so dynamic, so adventurous. And I was reading in the book of Acts where it says, "I found in David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart." And I was like, wow, because David's story is full of adventure, full of color. And I was like, wow, if we could tell a movie about David, it might give people an on-ramp onto God's heart. So the whole reason this movie started was to try and give people a glimpse into God's beautiful, amazing, expansive, and I'll say fun, full of joy, that heart of God. And it all started 30 years ago, just canoeing down the Zambezi, and I was like, wow, that's where it was birthed, if I can say that, yeah.
It's very exciting because there's also, if any of you who are watching, listening, are familiar with Angel Studios, they've done great films like After Death. They have the documentary After Death. They've done Sound of Freedom. They had the new movie The Senior. So this is coming out with Angel Studios. It has a big, impressive catalog. There was also a prequel series, if I'm not mistaken, called Young David. So did that kind of sprout from Young David as well? Or what was the goal originally with that, starting as a TV series at Young David? Now we're going to a full-length animated picture into David.
Yeah, I can quickly talk to that. I think we've got a massive passion for quality and just building something beautiful. And I'll speak to that in a second. But what we wanted to do was crawl, walk, and run. So the vision was always a David animated feature film for cinema. But we used the Young David series as like a prequel just to get the engines going, test things out. And they were always intended to be a prequel leading towards the feature film. And I'll just say, Brendan, on the feature film, we've got a massive passion for quality. I was walking with my wife in Paris a few years ago and looking up at the Arc de Triomphe and the scale of it, the attention to detail. And I was like, it's incredible. And as a filmmaker, we can make Arc de Triomphe, or we can go and make office blocks and factories and just churn money. But the David movie was meant always, that was our passion, would be an Arc de Triomphe. And just on that note, very quickly, it's interesting because Disney said, people won't always see the detail, but they'll feel the detail. So we have been, I don't want to go on and on, but just very quickly to let you know, we are super passionate about quality and detail. So we did 4 trips to Israel. We did incredible research and really wanted to build a project that's just got that beautiful attention to every little detail, because that aggregation of marginal gains, that aggregation of lots of little details, we really believe leads to an Arc de Triomphe. And on that note, I'll just say one other thing, because I know you were just chatting to me earlier. In Michael Dell's biography, he talks about always employ people smarter than yourself. So we've really built an international team of over 300 artists in 27 countries around the world, and some beautiful young artists, but also some amazing artists who worked on Pixar films, Disney films. And so the team that's been built around this David movie has just been such an incredible experience to watch all these people come together from so many countries around the world, all over the world, which is beautiful. I think it adds so much flavor. Yeah.
And of the little bit I've watched, I got an early screening link. It looks really good. I haven't watched it all because I just haven't had the chance to sit down and watch like the full thing. And it looks really exciting. I'm excited for you guys listening, watching, streaming, whatever you're doing with this podcast, to watch it. And the most, it's really cool. Like the animations, like top notch. Like some of the modern day animations, like you said, there was people like Disney, like keeping a look, and it looks like one of those Disney films. When I first watched the trailer, I was like, "Is this Disney?" And then Disney is Disney actually making something like this? Because
Yeah.
Disney is like, I guess, the top tier animation right now. So I just thought it was like a Disney movie when I first was watching it. And more impressively, if you no one has heard about this movie, David is going to be played by Phil Wickham. How did Phil Wickham become involved in the project?
Oh, that's an amazing question because one of the things I was looking for as we cast and as with other director Brent Dawes, there's two directors, we were looking for the right spirit of a person because there's a beautiful verse, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord. So we're looking for somebody who just really carried the spirit of David. And our casting was very wide. We've got an amazing casting agent who's done a lot of the big movies. He's based in Los Angeles, a guy called Ned Lott. And we went far and wide, and we cast wide. The net result was Phil was just the person. It wasn't because he was famous or he was a great singer, but there was something in his voice that just felt like David to us, you know. And of course, I'll quickly say, of the Psalms, half the Psalms were written by David. So the film is a musical. It's got this beautiful musical element, which is authentic because David was this amazing songwriter and musician. So not only did Phil bring the right spirit, but we all know he's an amazing musician. So it just felt like this perfect blend of the right character, the right feeling, and then Phil himself is an amazing musician. And of course, in this movie, David's got to sing a lot. So Phil also just obviously nails the singing. What we found out, Brendan, out of interest, a lot of singers are fantastic singers, but not great actors, actually, in our casting. What we found with Phil was that unique blend where he can act, and he can sing, and he brings the right spirit to the movie. So that was amazing. And I will just give a quick shout out to young David, because our story goes from when David is a shepherd boy through to where he becomes king of Judah. And so there's a guy called Brandon who played young David, Brandon Ingham, and he was also just amazing. Not as well known as Phil, but an amazing actor, brought a beautiful spirit. And the two of them connecting just, I think, created an amazing character. Yeah.
It looks really exciting to see. Like I said, I haven't watched the full movie. I watched clips, and I watched clips of young David because, to be honest with you, I need it. I'm slacking. I should get Angel Studios for like my streaming platforms. I just haven't had the chance. But I've seen clips and everything, and both of the actors look like they are the perfect fit for this role. I couldn't, when I was watching this, I was like, I can't see anyone else doing this role right now, like where we're at.
Yeah. And Phil, David just brings his life, as we know, is full of adventure and color, and Phil just brings so much energy and adventure. And what I heard in his voice, and what we heard in his voice, was that adventure. And I just think he brings that to the movie in spades. So it was like, he's just the right guy for adult David, yeah. So but it was an amazing journey of casting just so many people. And same with the music. The guys, everyone who wrote on the music, we really went wide, and we just auditioned to find the writers of the music. Because the music is such a strong fabric of this film. But like, it's different to The Greatest Showman, but just like the music in The Greatest Showman is really synergistic with the story, it's critical for this movie as well, that the music is a critical part of the spine of the story as well. Yeah.
And this is like, you spent 25 years making, let me get the exact name, sorry, I have my notes up, Sunrise Animation Studios. Is this the first movie of Sunrise Animation Studios, or is there more to come after this movie? Just curious.
That's an amazing question. So we've been at this, the studio's been around. I mean, I had the vision 30 years ago for David, and then I knew we couldn't go straight there. Because, Brendan, I just want to say, as I looked at a lot of Christian movies, I was like, they're just really not striving for excellence. And I really, if I was going to go into the movie industry, like a sportsman, can't sit on the couch and eat pies and say, well, I hope God blesses me. He's got to do as many press-ups, as many sit-ups as any other sportsman. So I really believed in crawl, walk, run. So we started our studio. We did a lot of other projects. You can go check it out. We did another project for kids called Jungle Beat, which is on YouTube. We did 2 little feature films around Jungle Beat, but always in our mind was David. We were building towards David. So it was kind of crawl, walk, run, and David was always the plan. But we did a lot of projects over 20 years to build a team, build a skill. And then I think when we felt, okay, now we're ready, then we went for it on the David movie, which, as I say, was probably 10 years ago that we started the first script and then started to build it out. Animation's crazy. how long it takes. Yeah.
It's crazy, and it's really impressive to see it finally coming out after like 30 years. I know we keep circling back on that. Like I haven't even been born for 30 years quite yet, so it's just really cool to see this thing was in development before I was born. And like,
Yeah.
Phil, what do you hope these audience like across the nation like gather after watching this movie? Like, what do you hope the goal of this movie brings to people? Like the purpose, a story, or like, anything that you hope that sticks with the fans and audience of this movie?
So my huge passion is for me is Jesus and his incredible, beautiful, adventurous, fun heart. And so I'm really hoping that as people watch the movie about David, they're surprised. They're like, oh my goodness, God is not a stuffy, angry, austere character. He's an alive character, an adventurous character, a character full of joy. In Hebrews, it says about Jesus, I've anointed you with joy and set you apart. This is what sets him apart from his companions, the joy. And so I hope the David movie just introduces people to like, oh wow, I never knew God could be like that. So full of adventure, so expansive. And so that's the heart of David. It just plants a seed that God is exciting, God is awesome, and actually a lot of fun to journey with. And that's the heart of the film. I will say, quick thing on animation, Brendan, why animation as a medium for me is because animation's got this ability to cross race, cultural, age, and gender barriers just better than any other medium. It's so global. And whether you're 4 years old or 94 years old, and whether you live in Asia or the USA or Africa, you can enjoy animation. And so that's why animation, because I felt it can really carry the story to the world. And our passion is that it goes globally. Yeah. Yeah.
And the big premise of your studio, the Sunrise Animation Studio, is Inspire for Story. Can you tell us a little bit where you came up with that, like saying the Inspire for Story? Because I'm a big movie person anyway, and it's really cool to see that memories. Because I like inspiring people, and then I like stories too. So it's just like cool that you like combined like the two things into one.
Yeah. That actually came, my wife is an amazing person and a huge part of this journey. And that Inspire through Story came from her because she was like, that's our mission. Because if we take the 40 parables Jesus told, only one had the word church and one had the word God, and the rest were just stories that like really connected and moved people. And when I first went to university, I was sitting at university watching movies come out, and for good or bad, some good, some bad, these few square kilometers of Hollywood just having a massive impact on how people thought and moved, and not all bad. Some of it's good, like perseverance, courage, but also some things that are not so good. But I was struck, no matter whether it's good or bad, the power of story. Stories for me are like Trojan horses. They get under people's defense mechanism because you let your guard down when you're listening to a story, and then it can plant a seed, for good or bad. And so I was like, wow, when I watch how powerful stories are, that's what we wanted to do. And then Jackie, my wife, came up with this. That's our mission: inspire through story. So, yeah, you can talk at people, and I don't think that's always a good way of inspiring them. Or you can tell them a story, and then that can inspire them. Yeah, and it's just such a succinct, beautiful little saying: inspire through story. Yeah.
Awesome. And for those who are wondering, we haven't really talked about this yet or brought it up, but the release date of the movie is December 19th of this year. So during Christmas break, it'll be out during Christmas. So if you're a parent with kids, or if you're a kid or a student watching this, bring your parents, whatever way it works. But go see the movie during the Christmas break. It would be a great time to go watch a movie with your parents during the Christmas season and everything.
Yeah, and it's really exciting. And that's where I'd say Angel Studios have been amazing, Brendan, because they're such out-of-the-box thinkers, so extraordinary in the way they think. There's that saying, when the world zigs, they zag. And they've moved incredibly quickly. I think they saw an opportunity this Christmas, 19th of December, let's go for it. And I was actually reading about the battle with Goliath, when there's been all this sledging, and then David reaches the battle line, and it says he ran towards the giants. And, really big shout out to Angel. I think they're very brave, they're very innovative, and they're like running towards the giants. And that let's go. Let's just take this moment. Let's go for it. So 19th of December, it's fast and it's furious, but it's super exciting. And yeah, we're really just hoping it catches the imagination of people in the cinemas. Yeah.
Yeah, and Angel Studios are incredible studios. I brought up some of the movies earlier, and it's just really cool to see Angel Studios continue to grow. And it's great to see them support you guys on this project as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And they're just such a pleasure to work with, and so, like I'm saying, so innovative, so brave, and it's exciting to be working with them.
Without going into spoilers, do you have a personal favorite part of the movie? Without going into too many spoilers for people who haven't watched it.
Yeah, I've got so many favorites. I'll just pick one that comes to mind right now, which is there's a psalm where David says, "Why God? Why have you forsaken me?" And there's a beautiful song connected to that moment, where David is just singing to God, and he's just. And I think what's surprising about that moment for so many people is, wow, can you be that honest with God? Can you just say, "Why God?" And I hope as people watch that moment, why it's one of my favorite moments because it just shows you, like Jesus said, unless you become like little children, you need to become like little children to come to me. And David was just so childlike. If he was in pain, he just called out to God, you know. And I love that moment because it's just so real, so raw, and so human. He's just saying, "Why God?" And I hope as people watch that, they're like, "Oh, wow, I can speak to God. Tell him how I'm really feeling. I don't have to dress it up. I can just come to him as I am and just be honest." And in that moment, I also love, you'll see in the movie, his mother plays a big role. Nitzavet is his mother's name. And in the Bible, it says, "I serve God as my mother did." And so she's a big part of the movie, which I love. Like it really celebrates mothers all around the world. It's like, this is a movie for moms, and moms are championed because Nitzavet inspires David. And in that song, while he's singing "Why God," she's singing "My God," and just reminding him of actually God is with him, even though it's tough. So I think I love that moment because it combines him and his mom, and also just shows you how real you can be with God. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I'm going to finish watching the movie. Like I said, I have an early access link. I'm going to watch the movie more. Like I said, I skipped around just parts just to see different parts to get some notes. And Phil, I know we just have a few extra minutes with you today. Is there anything else you want to talk about the movie that we haven't brought up? Or is there anything on your heart you want to tell us about the movie?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that on the movie, Jackie, my wife, has got two sayings. The one is that the process is more important than the product. In other words, the way you treat people, the way you work with people is more important. And there's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I'd just love to give a massive shout out to everyone who's been involved in this movie. There are people who've sacrificed their lives. And as I was saying, over 300 people in 27 countries of the world, just working incredibly hard, bringing their best skill to the movie. And I would say, what a privilege to be. The movie itself, I think, is an Arc de Triomphe, and I really believe it's beautiful. The journey has been amazing, though, as well, Brendan. I just want to say that. And just the privilege of working these people, with all these people of such different skills and such beautiful character. I'd just say that's been amazing. And I think, as whatever you're doing in your life, I just want to say, enjoy the journey. It's not about the destination, it's also about the journey. And you learn so much about God in the journey. And I'll say one quick thing if we've got time, Brendan. There's a beautiful poem about a little boy building a sandcastle with his dad on the beach to fight the tide. He's putting in shells and feathers and everything. And then the tide comes and it beats the sandcastle. We've all done that with our dads, or hopefully we've had that privilege. And then he runs into the cottage and he has hot chocolate with his dad. And the poet is saying, we build sandcastles, but the big context that we get to know our Father. So whether I'm making a movie, or whether I'm a doctor, or whether I'm a sportsman, or whether I'm a teacher, these are our sandcastles, which we must do with all our heart and have fun doing. But what I'm really learning a lot about is my dad and the context. So in making David, my big takeaway, I got to know God better. And I realized how awesome he is, how kind he is to me, how graceful he is to me, how much fun he is to be. So my big takeaway is I loved making the movie, and I love the movie, but getting to know God in the process of making the movie was the biggest blessing. And Abraham says, God says to Abraham, I am your great reward. Like, as we go on that journey, as we build our sandcastles, our big reward is God and our relationship with him, not the sandcastle, actually. So it might be a funny thing to say, but that was my takeaway, was just getting to know God better, learning to trust him when we had so many obstacles, Brendan, so many setbacks. It's unbelievable. But he was faithful, and he got us through, over the 10 years, he got us through them. And I was like, wow, that was a lot of fun at the end of the day.
And thank you for sharing that. And it's really cool to see how you grow closer to God with this movie. And I hope this movie, with the theater run it's getting, it'll bring more people closer to God. They're like, oh, look, this is a new animated movie, and help bring people that don't really go to church and go experience the movie, like, because it's an animated movie, they're just finding to see a new animated movie with their family, bring them closer to God as well. I hope that happens with a lot of people.
Yeah, that's my big passion, Brendan, is people who might not go to church will also come and watch it, love the entertainment of it, but find themselves connecting. Yeah.
Phil, I just want to thank you for your time today, and thank you for joining us. And for those who are watching, make sure to support Phil and all the David team. Going to the movie when it comes out. It comes out, remember, December 19th. Definitely check it out. I completely recommend what I've seen. I know Phil recommends it 100%. And Phil, thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you, Brendan. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
And everyone, we'll see you next time on the Christian Music World Podcast. Take care, everyone.